Hello, everyone. You're in the office with Joseph Skoda. Yes, the office should be on the beach, but I'm not actually on the beach right now. But I came back from Hawaii and I'm next month. So I like a lot of the tropical atmospheres. And many of you know I'm a Toastmaster, and I meet some interesting people all around the world. And I'm always looking for people who inspire others, who can motivate others, who maybe had ups and downs in their lives and overcome and living a good life right now. And today, well, actually, just a few days ago, I met our special guest today, Gayatri. And she's coming all the way from India, just outside of Mumbai. So, where exactly do you live, Gayatri?
Namaste, Joseph. Namaste, because this is the greeting we have in India. I come from the land that gave to the world yoga and number zero. Yes, zero was founded in India by a scientist named Aryabhatta. So I come from the land of India, and this is the land of love, land of yoga. Mumbai is the land of Bollywood. 100 miles from Mumbai, there is this city called as Nasik. It is a combination of pilgrim city and wine city. People come here to party, people come here for pilgrimage. There are very few cities in the world, and in my opinion, probably a couple of them only, where you have a blend wherein people come for pilgrimage to meet God and then go out partying in vineyards. That is where I come from. Pilgrim city Nasik, wine city Nasik, and grape city Nasik.
No wonder you're always in a good mood. I see you. I never see you without a smile. I'm very interested in that town. So it's a bit. I know you mentioned that. Well, obviously, tell us about your law school. Tell us a little bit about your journey in law.
I was I never wanted to do law, basically.
Mhm.
My mother decided that she wanted her daughter to have a degree, not just basic graduation, but a professional degree. My mother decided that I should be a lawyer. If you ask me, I don't remember ever wanting to be a lawyer. I don't remember ever studying to become a lawyer. I don't even remember attending college regularly to become a lawyer, but somehow I have a law degree. I cleared bar examination and I have the certificate to practice law here in India. In India, Indian parents have this supernatural power to ensure that if they want their kids to have a particular degree, their kids will get that degree. That is how I became a lawyer at the age of 22. I did my internship with National Human Rights Commission in New Delhi. New Delhi is the capital of India. After doing my internship there, I practiced under a criminal lawyer for some time, with civil lawyer for some time. I practiced law for about a year and a half, and I realized that happy people don't go to court. Only sad people go there. So I kind of took a break.
That's funny. You're right. Usually in courthouse, well, somebody's really sad and somebody leaves with a big smile. But usually both lawyers with a smile. But that's going to be a tough job to be involved in. So, what made you get out of law school? I know we talked a little bit about your journey. Started there almost and moved on. What did you do after that? And when did you get tired of being in law in court?
My life was kind of overlapping always.
Yeah.
After, after, I mean, when I started my college, I had said to my family that I want to become a writer. And my family said, you should go and check out your face in mirror. One in a million get an opportunity to become a writer. And I'm not talking about the bloggers that we can become today so easily. I'm talking about like 20 years ago. And I took it very offensively. What do you mean? I'm not a one in a million. And that's when I decided that I'm going to prove it to them. I stepped into the office of a local newspaper, which had a circulation of about 5,000 or 7,000 something. And I was 17. I went to them and I said that I'm a good writer. You should hire me. They asked me for my credentials. I said I have completed my 12th grade. And they said, you're not 18 years old. You're not a graduate. We can't hire you. Sorry. I said, okay, if I have to be rejected, I'd rather get rejected by the number one newspaper in India rather than a local newspaper. So, with complete confidence, I stepped into the office of Times of India in Nasik. I said to them, I'm an excellent writer. You should hire me. They just looked at me up and down, the editorial coordinator then, and she was like, what can you write about? I said, anything. She said, all right, why don't you get a report on this particular thing, what is going on in colleges? And for some reason, I was really good at this because the first thing I told her was, you know what? Cell phones are banned in campus as of today. I can ask people around what they feel about it. And that was my first article because we are talking about 2005. Colleges had an option of banning students from using cell phones. Today, we can't do that. Today, even schools cannot ban them.
I
But yeah, that was
know.
my first article, August 2005. And that's when my journey began. And I think I did pretty well. So even while I was doing my law, I was studying for law, I was reporting on the sides. So when I left law as a career, there was a fallback for me, which was better than what I was doing. So the next thing I knew, I was the page three reporter. Page three reporter in India is equivalent of page six of New York Times.
Wow. That's
So
big.
that is what I did. I worked with Times of India for entertainment beat for a few years. Then I moved to Viacom 18 network as public relations manager for a channel, Colors Marathi. From Colors Marathi channel, I moved to Z network as executive producer with Z Marathi channel. And then I hit rock bottom. I got into depression because this entertainment industry, the competition, the toxicity of it, it takes a toll on you. I was 30 when I hit that space. 29. I was 29 when I hit that place where I realized that maybe I need to do what I genuinely enjoy.
Sure.
During this entire time, I was also indulged into various meditation practices since I
Hmm.
was 18 years old. So my life had several layers to it.
I
While
see
I was
that.
doing this, there were a lot of other things that I was doing. I was researching on ancient scriptures. I was talking to the scientists working with Indian Space Agency. And all of it was a part of my research in the spiritual space, not in the science. And then I went on the spiritual journey. That was a
Yeah.
turning point. After that spiritual journey, Toastmasters happened.
Wow.
Toastmasters is where I actually managed to channelize all of my experience. Until then, it was all scattered. I was doing like 100 things. I was really good at all of those 100 things. But if you look at my portfolio, it has a lot of diversity, but something is missing. And that missing thing was channelizing it, using that one place wherein all of this experience can help me. And in Toastmasters, the international Toastmasters community, they were so good to me. Like we talk about the four core values: integrity, respect, service, excellence. These four things, I met Toastmasters who genuinely embodied these core values, and I got guidance, I got feedback, I was allowed to make mistakes, I was allowed to fall down and get up again. They ignored my vices. They helped me turn my vices into my strengths. They helped me become a better person. And today, when I'm sitting in front of you, Joseph,
Yep.
I'm telling you, had it not been for Toastmasters, I wouldn't have been sitting here in front of you so calm. After the spiritual journey, I had that calmness in me. I was glowing. But channelized, no. Toastmasters was a God sent gift for me. So this is the turning point for me, Toastmasters.
That's Interesting you brought that up. A lot of people who have never been involved or even went to a club meeting, they know about it. Be a public speaker. Like it's more about just public speaking. It's becoming better. It's not being afraid to fail because someone will pick you up and guide you and help you to the next level. And the next level may just be comfortable in your own relationship at home. Because we have a lot of people cannot even communicate with their spouse, let alone at the workplace. And that's very interesting how you brought that up. It helps you channel the different things that we already got going on. It's supposed to make us better at whatever we're doing out there. A little bit more about that journey you went on shortly after or during the Toastmasters time. Talk about that journey.
Like I said, my last job was with Z Network. The whole
Mhm.
toxicity of the competitive entertainment industry, the jealousies, the
Sure.
dirty politics, the leg pulling, it got to me and I hit rock bottom. And I realized I was not liking the person I was becoming because deep down I was not that person. So I just left everything and I decided, and I literally put on my white robes. I took a staff in my hand and I left everything, my family, my friends, and everybody in the family was okay. She'll return in 15 days. Let her have her fun. I mean, half of them were laughing at me, and half of them were not sure what I was doing. And let me give you a glimpse of how I used to be dressed during that time. So, this is how I used to be dressed,
Wow.
and that is all I had. One set I used to wear, and one set was always in my bag. After this is one of the forests where forest of Amarkantak. It is a
Yeah.
wildlife safari as well. River Narmada originates in this particular place. And these are the kind of roads I walked on barefoot. And the bag that you see on my back, the backpacking bag,
Mhm.
that is all I had. Whatever I needed for my daily survival or anything, it used to be in that bag. That is all, whatever it was.
Wow.
And then sometimes we have to, I was not carrying debit card, I was not carrying credit card, I was not carrying any money. So whenever I used to be hungry, I used to go to the temples, sometimes churches, mosques. People used to be walking, and I would tell them that I'm hungry. Do you think you can feed me something from your home? And if they had one chapati or bread, they would give it to me. Sometimes they would give me a packet of biscuit. They would ask me for tea. And that is how God took care of me. I was short of nothing. And
Wow.
sometimes we had to cook for ourselves, but we did not have the gas system or anything. So we used to put three stones together. We used to gather all the wood around from the forest area, and we used to cook like this. And we used to have this kind of raw material. They used to give us oil, a couple of potatoes,
Mhm.
a fistful of lentils, a
Apples.
little bit of flour. And there used to be, let's say, three or four of us who are in the spiritual journey, the monks. Now, I was not a monk, but I was living life of a monk. So for that duration, I was considered as a monk. Sometimes God was more generous than you could expect. People would even let me stay in their houses, and these are the kids of that one village where I stayed in for some time.
Wow.
That journey was a very transforming space for me. Rishikesh is known as the yoga capital of world. I spent a lot of time in Rishikesh learning various meditation techniques, right from Shakti Sanchalan, chakra meditation,
Mhm.
Sufi meditation, Buddhist meditations, whatever, like under the sky, any kind of meditation, I learned it there. And of course, how can we miss out on the Beatles ashram that we have in Rishikesh? It was a fabulous experience on the banks of River Ganga, and I learned a lot over there. The reason why these journeys become so important is that we say that our body is made out of five elements: earth, fire, wind, water, and ether. Today, we are living in the times where even in our own houses, we walk with the chapels on. The footwear is on. We are wearing some slippers or something we have on our feet.
Sure.
How many times, Joseph, does your feet really touch the ground?
Rarely, rarely, not that often.
So, our body is made out of five
Mhm.
elements, and we are not even connecting with one element which is easiest to connect.
Wow. Good
During
point.
this journey, I connected with the earth element and I realized that earth element was connected with, I mean, this is something I do with my clients when they are going through, they are on the verge of depression because we are on the verge of depression when we are hopeless. We don't
Sure.
think there is anything in our life to do. Our foundation is shaken and we have no motivation to do anything. That connection with Mother Earth, that direct connection, constantly being in touch with her, it kind of activated my root chakra, which was almost gone. And then something happened, and I felt that motivation, but there still needed a lot of things to happen. The second element we talk about is water. Water is another element that we are made of. Now, that is one element that we are not really away from because you drink water every day, I drink water every day, we
Yeah.
bathe every day. So water is one element which always stays with us. I'm drinking it from the Toastmaster's bottle.
Hey,
So
man.
water is one element that we are not depriving ourselves of. That was taken care of. Therefore, I never lost that joy.
Hmm.
Sometimes people lose the ability to enjoy things around them.
Sure.
Like everything is best, and they still say that everything is as I want, but I'm not feeling that joy that I should feel. And that
Very
is when
common.
we know that something is wrong with the sacral chakra. And then I realized that, okay, water is not just about drinking, water is not just about bathing. Why is it that we feel such calmness when we sit by a water body? Lakes, rivers, beaches. You have a beach right behind you, and
Right.
you have been visiting beaches of late. Why is it that you feel calm? Because it just somehow unknowingly you feel joy, because water element connects you with that. Sacral chakra ensures that you are enjoying
Sure.
around you. It's not just temporary joy, it's joy from within that you experience, the state of happiness, not the happiness you get after something happens.
Sure.
Next element is fire, that is your solar plexus. How many times do we go near fire these days? I mean, notice it, Joseph, a question for you.
Yes.
Do you remember your mother cooking, your grandmother cooking?
Yes.
And how were they as women? Were they timid or were they very strong women?
Oh, they were strong women.
And
They were strong women.
did you sometimes feel that they were probably stronger than your father or your grandfather? Say
Well, we
emotionally, mentally.
mostly mentally, but you can't tell them that. You can't
You
tell my
can't tell them
grandma.
that.
You can't tell them that. But yes, the women in our family were a little bit stronger. But we have different roles. The women are stronger in some areas and men in others. But emotionally, mentally, definitely the women, definitely.
One of the reasons that women are often emotionally, mentally strong is that they spend a lot of time in front of fire when they are cooking.
Oh,
Relatively, if you notice, men don't spend that kind of time in front of fire. And you will notice that for ages, some men, for no good reason, would insist that they will make one tea a day. One time they would make tea or coffee themselves. They wouldn't ask their wife or daughter to make it for them. What is it? I mean, we talk about patriarchy and everything. This is against the whole patriarchal system, but why did that man really feel like going to fire? It was nothing to do with him helping his wife. It was about, it felt Good to him that he was with fire for some time. He needed that fire because fire element gives you courage.
Wow.
During that journey, I am not a cook. I relied on my mother to cook for me. And even when I was cooking, I was not cooking on the gas system, I was cooking on the induction. So technically, I was far away from fire element, not constantly in touch with it. And
Wow.
during that time, I was like, my God, I'm constantly in front of fire. And somehow I'm feeling better about myself. I'm feeling stronger. Then next step was the wind, the air as element.
Sure.
Now, here is the question for you, Joseph. How many
Oh,
times a day or how long in a day do you spend in an AC room?
AC room? Too many. Too many. Uh, too many. Probably six,
Thereby,
7, 8 hours longer. Yeah.
thereby depriving our body of the fourth element that is air.
Yeah.
And that
You're right.
air element is connected with your heart chakra.
Sure. Even driving our cars, we put the air on rather than the window down. That's in my head. That's true.
And often you would see that you are feeling low, you're feeling suffocated, and this has got nothing to do with the AC room. It's your innermost feeling. Why am I feeling suffocated? I want to cry out loud, or I just want to breathe. Oh God, you're breathing already. No, I'm not feeling good. I'm just feeling low. Why am I feeling so sad suddenly? Why is there this outburst? It's because there is an imbalance in heart chakra. It's not aligned properly because it is deprived of its natural food, that is air. Our body is made of five elements, and for depriving your body of the fourth element, and then you see that, oh, let's go for hiking, let's go for trekking.
Sure.
Why does that make you happy? The only thing is when you're hiking, when you're trekking, when you're sitting by the beach side, or when
Yeah.
you just go out, what is the first thing that you do when nobody's watching?
You're right.
Like opening your heart, we're basically opening our heart. Like, I mean, it's, and we ensure that nobody's watching because we don't want to come across as overtly dramatic. We don't
No,
want
isn't
to
that
come
sad? Sad.
or filmy or cheesy for that matter. But it's a very natural instinct to just go, wow, I'm feeling better in a fraction of a second. That is your air element. And finally, we talk about the ether element. How many times do we really lie down and look at the sky? Like, forget about the pollution, which hides most of it, most of the sky. If you're
Hard.
living in the industrial sector, forget about able to seeing the stars and all. But how many times do we really look at the sky? We don't.
Not
We
really.
have to
That's
be told that, otherwise, if you look at our forefathers, it's a full moon. There used to be certain types of moons. They used to come out and they used to what? Now it's not, I mean, we used to feel, oh, they were excited about anything. No, they were not. They were smarter than us. They
yeah.
knew what they were doing. They knew that they were simply absorbing it. And that is connected with your throat chakra, which is directly connected with your communication skills, empathetic listening, as well as speaking. And Joseph, I'm not kidding. One of the fellow Toastmasters had
Yes.
contacted me. They wanted to learn chakra meditation. Now, this person was a toast has had been a Toastmaster for about 4 to 5 years
Sure.
and was struggling with a lot of ahs and ums. This person started meditating on throat chakra, or in Sanskrit we call it as Vishuddhi chakra.
Okay.
And within 3 weeks, the ahs and ums were gone. I was also amazed. I was also amazed. Like 21 days, and after 21 days, I said, if I just tell all the Toastmasters that do this and get rid of all ahs and ums, they'd be so happy because then our counter would have no job to do. But it was not that it eliminated the ahs and ums, it just helped her with the flow of thoughts. That is all. It helped
Wow.
them with the flow of thoughts. But Eliminating R's and M's, a Toastmaster would definitely understand the benefit of that if that's the
Sure.
side effect. And then we talk about the third eye chakra, which is like the culmination of all the five elements. And the final one is crown chakra. So if you're asking me what did I do in the whole 2 years long journey, what I was doing was I was kind of enlightening myself, enriching myself, and strengthening myself. Now my goal is to reach out to maximum people across the globe and help them reconnect with themselves through chakra meditation, because all you need to do to get that balance in your personality, that alignment in your priorities, and that activation in your life is to balance your chakras by connecting with yourself, reconnecting with the nature, the elements with which we are made actually. To spread awareness about that. That is what I want to do as the life coach or stress and anxiety management coach.
Wow. I love it. I love it. Now, obviously, in a meditation and life coach, what do, at least in America, I don't know about where you're at, life coaches sometimes they get a bad rap. They're not understood. People think, why bother? You know, what do you know? What are you going to teach me? Why do some life coaches, or majority of them, just kind of are disregarded? What do you think that is?
So here's what I think. Sometimes people focus a lot on certifications. And that is where I think things go wrong. What is the difference between getting a degree and acquiring a skill?
Big difference.
That, yeah, that is the difference between the life coaches who have secured a certificate from a reputed
Hmm.
institution like ICF. They have completed all the requirements to become a life coach. But the major thing is, do they have the temperament for the life coaching? Do they have what it takes to be the life coach? Meaning, do they have that kind of experience? Do they have, I wouldn't say mindset or mind frame, I would use the word, is that the purpose of their life? Because ultimately, you need to have purpose. Is that just a money making or a business strategy for them, or is it the purpose of their life to be able to connect with people and talk about it? Are you into astrology, Joseph?
Yes. I'm not so much. I'm a Taurus.
Okay, so now I'm going to explain you a little bit about astrological
Okay.
aspect of it.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
why I'm giving example of astrology is that it is a proper metaphor to explain the life coaching.
Okay.
Okay, so in astrology, there are certain elements to which they are connected basically with maths. They are all about calculations, about planetary positions, where they will be, which planet will be in which zodiac is in where. I mean, like, all in all, it's all about calculation, math. Now, there was this astrologer. He was very reputed, very knowledgeable, very intuitive.
Okay.
He had a good reputation, and it was his family business. So he basically decided that, okay, my son has to do the same. So he ensured that his son had learned every aspect about astrology. Now, his son sat, there was an astrological spread in front of him, and he was supposed to predict what had happened. A boy had gifted a girl something. According to the calculations, it was round in shape. According to calculations, it was big in size or something. And this fellow decided that what is circular in shape and big in size? Oh, wheel. He gifted her a wheel. And that astrologer understood that merely knowing calculations and merely knowing the theory cannot make you an astrologer. Intuition. Intuition is the thing. And just because it's a gift given to a girl by a boy, it cannot be a be an earring or a ring or a necklace or a bangle necessarily. That gift was basically he had gifted her a plate which was engraved in a few things. Likewise, in life coaching, you may get your theory right, but how are you going to get the intuition? How are you going to get the connection? How are you going to know whether the person is lying to you? Because when you have a person sitting in front of you, as the life coach, I ask them, do you have a problem? They said, no, no problem. I have to just look at their face, and with all the meditation practices I have learned, I have to
Okay.
look straight into their eyes. I have to connect with their soul, and I have to just tell them that, okay, this is your problem. Whenever you're ready to talk, let's talk.
That's not.
So, life coaching, I think people lose reputation because they know their theory well. But I think before becoming a life coach, you have to go through certain experiences yourself.
Sure.
I need to know how it feels to have my heart broken. I need to know how a betrayal feels. I need to know how it feels when somebody very dear to you has humiliated you and you have to forgive that person. Before I tell that person, you know what? There is no point in complaining. There is no point in whining. You just have to move on. That is theory. Process of that acceptance, process of that acknowledgement, process of that moving on. Life coach is expected to help over there. Often life coaches miss out on that. They simply tell what is expected. They are not themselves aware about the process, so they can't explain it.
That's, that's true. I'm a life coach also, and I don't have a degree or license in it, but I'm involved. I work with veterans a lot, and a lot of them leave the military into the civilian world, and they lose their purpose. They no longer have an identity. They don't know where they fit in, and that's what my focus on. It's very interesting how you brought that up. We have to experience heartbreak ourselves and jealousies and loss of a loved one and so forth and so on for us to identify. And nothing's worse than someone telling someone else how to parent their kids and they don't have children of their own. We hear things like that a lot. It's like, come on, that's ridiculous so much. Bit about, and I saw this in your bio about emotional intelligence. Now, this is something that I started teaching a couple of years ago. But when I was first introduced to it, I thought it didn't make sense. I thought it didn't matter. I thought this is another made up story, but further from the truth. As I got more and more involved, tell us a little bit more about your emotional intelligence journey.
Got it. About emotional intelligence, I was never into emotional intelligence. I was initiated into it by a company. So I was happily doing the stress and anxiety management thing. And during one of our sessions, they wanted to record some modules with me for their clients. And they wanted it to be a little different, but not regular thing, but connected to stress and anxiety management. There we were discussing what can we do differently for our clients. Now in India, emotional intelligence is a part of a big thing, big ancient scriptures which are already catering to the whole emotional intelligence part. And emotional intelligence as agreed by the emotional intelligence as agreed or taught in the American continent, it is not something that necessarily connects with the Indian counterpart. Now, for example, in emotional intelligence, we talk about 5 steps. Step number one is more to do with self awareness. So, we talk about the awareness part, then we talk about the self regulation part, and then, of course, we have the whole motivation and the empathy and the social skills. All of it is a little like, everything from motivation, empathy to social skills is something that can be achieved later on. People get stuck in the self-awareness and the self-regulation part. So when they asked me to record the modules for them, I had to tweak them a little bit to match with the temperament of people over here. So self-awareness had to be the awareness part. Self-regulation had to be split into two steps. First acknowledgement and then acceptance and then actually working on it.
Sure.
More often than not, awareness is missing. Majority times there is awareness, but we don't have the courage to acknowledge it. And then comes the acceptance part, which is like the most difficult one. I'll simplify it for you. I am in love with this guy. This guy probably loves me. Now, this is like a very basic scenario. Everybody has been there, done that. Now, this guy probably, I know that he loves me, but he's not in that place yet. I'm not saying that he's cheating on me, but he's definitely, I am not as important to him as he is for me. Now, I have that awareness. But when Joseph asks me, I'm like, no, that's not true, Joseph. We mean a lot to each other. We may not be a perfect couple, but we love each other a lot. I take it as my personal self respect, ego, pride, whatever you want to call it. Finally, I am no longer in a position to ignore it or be in denial about it. I acknowledge that, okay, maybe his priorities are different from my priorities. Am I able to accept that? That is the choice I have to make. Am I willing to accept him the way he is? Or I am not going to accept him the way he is. There comes the third step, that is adapting with the situation. Acknowledge, accept, and adapt. If I choose to stay with him, I have to adapt with the fact that I will never be as important to him as he is for me. Or should I choose to move on from him, I have to adapt with the situation that, okay, I'm not marrying the guy I love, but I'm going to marry instead someone who loves me. So awareness is one part, but the whole self-regulation part has to be split into three steps. Now, while while teaching emotional intelligence or while walking the members through the steps of self-regulation, not telling them how to acknowledge, not helping them with acceptance, and not advising them on adapting with it. That there things could go wrong is what I feel. My experience has been. Rest, once the person is in that adapted space, you give him all the motivational talk and he'll be, yeah, right, you're right. Then the thing is, when I'm okay and happy with myself, it's easier for me to empathize with the other person. And then, of course, the next step.
We know a lot about adaptation, a lot of what we say, women mostly. I can change him. I can make him what I want him to be. Right.
That is true.
Yeah. We all feel that way.
We all feel that way. And I think a lot depends on the cultural element also. Because
Sure.
every country, every part of the world, they have their own cultural setup. And that cultural setup, in a way, conditions our mind to respond or react in situations in a particular way. So to really break through those cultural mindsets, it's not easy. That is one thing I feel. What is your take on the whole thing? I may be entirely wrong here.
No. I'm culture too. We just that's why men you often hear us say yes, dear. Whatever you say, dear. I'll get right on it, dear. We even forget their names sometimes. Yes, dear. More easy to okay. What do you want me to do now? And it's a good relationship, but it's not always happy on both sides. And I think everyone should be happy. Understand, we all can't be happy. We cannot always give 100. It's not 50% relationship. It should be 100%, 100%. And sometimes we can't give 100% due to sicknesses, illnesses, other stresses in her life. But we can pick up where the other one leaves off is pretty good. And the best couples, I think, finish each other's sentences. Well, that might not always be good, but when they're very compatible, you can just tell. And other people are struggling to keep on that facade for the rest of the world to see. That's pretty interesting how you talk about that, our emotional intelligence and the cultural differences that we have. Yeah. So, anyways, you gave us some great insight about your life. You talked a little bit about law. It wasn't really what you wanted to do, and I love how you say if our parents want us to do it, somehow it just happens. I think I needed your parents to help me get some things happening in my life a little bit earlier. And you talked about writing for newspapers and even Bali World. And I just filmed a movie a couple months ago in Las Vegas called Desert Fiends, and it's a horror comedy film. It should be coming out sometime next year. It's interesting. It doesn't. There's some great people there, but it's a world you really have to be careful jumping into. And then you talk about how you did a little bit of meditation and reconnected with who you are and water and fire and all. It's a good point. But how come when we tell our spouses, yeah, go in the kitchen and keep cooking while I sit here and watch TV, you're telling me that's bad or is that good? I'm confused. Our women would be less stronger if you took them out of the kitchen. And I know that's just generalization, but that's funny there. And talking about life coaching, and we totally understand the differences. We have licenses and certifications in so many areas. I have 5 college degrees. Who cares? People don't care. I don't care anymore. And I'll tell you one thing, I have 3 DTNs. This thing with Toastmaster means more to me than my college degrees. And, talk a little bit about some of the other things, emotional intelligence, and deeply appreciate you talking to us in my group here and in the office with Joseph Skoda. Now, we do a lot of things inside of here, but I called you on because you did exactly what I wanted you to do. And I didn't know where we were going with this, but you inspired, you motivated, you told us how important Toastmasters can be to bring everything together. Everything come to you. So that was fantastic. If somebody wanted to reach out to you for a speaker, life coaching, the chakras, the other stuff, how would they reach out to you? What's the best way for someone in our audience to find
I am absolutely available on LinkedIn. I am available on Insta and I'm available on Facebook. And I'll share my email ID with Joseph here. And I'll
you?
also share the handles for all of them. Please feel free to connect. I'm active on all the three.
Oh, I love it. And you were available. We just talked a few days ago. I said, how about 2 days from now, this time? You're like, okay, let's do it. And what was interesting because I was in a different time zone when I mentioned that to you. It was three
Yes.
hours ahead, and I'm thinking, oh, what time is it going to be exactly? We're supposed to meet. I'm glad it worked out, but it could have been 2 more hours from now, and I wouldn't even know the difference. So I really appreciate you bearing with
Thank you
me.
so much for the opportunity. In fact, I have clients from different time zones and I schedule my sessions accordingly. And Joseph, you spoke about the 5 degrees you have, 3 distinguished Toastmasters you have. The reason why people love you is not because of what you have. People love Joseph because of what you are giving them and what they are getting from you. Think about it. Because people will not revere you just for having things. People will revere you for how you have made them feel when you spoke to them, the impact you have made on their lives, and whether or not they found that thing from you that they usually look forward to from a leader. And the
Oh, and
reason
hats.
most people
I have different hats. I like that too.
that is how you make everyone feel. Why wouldn't people love you? They wouldn't care if you had your 5 degrees. They wouldn't care if you had your 3 DTMs. They wouldn't care about anything so long as you make them laugh, you make them forget all the bad stuff happening in their lives. And so far as you're helping them elevate themselves to another level.
I really appreciate that. And touche, you're doing the same thing. So when the first time I met you, I have something in common with her and I want to know more. And it just worked really well together. So I deeply appreciate that. Well, thank you, Gotcha. And we're just gonna end the episode here real quick. But hey, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, social media shows, and look up In the Office with Joseph Skoda, and you can find us on the social media shows network and a lot of different places, even Vimeo. A lot of my videos are up on Vimeo. So please look up Joseph Skoda and check out my Facebook page also, and different Gayatris. And we're gonna have a good life. But whatever it is, make your life count because all of us have something to give to others. Every one of us was designed for a purpose. Every one of us can make this a better world for someone else. So go out there, do what you need to do, and I salute you. Have yourself a wonderful life, everyone. Until next time, in the office with Joseph Skoda. Ciao. If you liked our show, please subscribe to our YouTube channel or find us on any social media platform, Instagram, of course, Facebook. Like, subscribe, share. We appreciate it. Let us know your thoughts and join our team. Anyways, we appreciate you staying tuned week after week, day after day, because we continuously build up our network to bring to you what you're asking for. Have a great day.